And we're live. It's Ian Botcher of the Botcher team here with Friday Facts, and today I have a very special guest with me. We have Melissa Perry of Remax Hallmark of Toronto, Canada. And we want to just take some time to chat with her, talk about some of the connections between our cities and our markets and how they relate. So thank you for joining us today.
Great to be here. What's really great about Toronto compared to San Jose, Silicon Valley area is that while San Jose is the tech capital of the U.S., Toronto and the Greater Toronto area is actually the tech capital of Canada. So it's a unique city in that I would consider it a hybrid city of San Jose, New York, and Chicago. Chicago being a large city, similar in size to Toronto, but New York being the financial capital of the U.S., that's Toronto as well, the financial capital of Canada. Yeah.
Now, Melissa, you're not just here on vacation. You are actually here because of the tech connection, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, what brought you to the Silicon Valley?
So my husband actually works for Apple. He's been with them for about, 11, 12 years. I actually, before my career in real estate, I actually worked for Apple as well.
Oh, wow.
So we've got a lot of connections. We know numerous people that have relocated from Toronto to Greater San Jose area. So I've been here. This is my third time in the Bay Area in the last 10 years. I was here recently 2 years ago while my husband was here for work testing software.
Well, and that's what he's doing right now as well,
That's
right?
what he's doing as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess to kind of talk further on that, let's kind of go to further down that line. As far as people going back and forth, how are you seeing a lot of clients coming back and forth between the Silicon Valley and Toronto?
We do know a number of people who he works with in tech who do end up relocating from Canadian offices to their head offices in Silicon Valley area. So we do know a number of people that have done the relocation. As long as work visas pan out, they're able to do that. And what's great is that even though prices here are considerably higher than Toronto, because we already see a high price tag on our properties, it's not as big of a price shock. So they're already kind of cushioned for that.
Silicon Valley here, I mean, as our viewers know, everybody gets sticker shock. I mean, it's pretty much you can go anywhere else and have your properties be cheaper. So for us, that's that's one. It's nice, but again, it's easier for clients coming from New York City, Toronto areas like that for sure.
Yep.
Now tell me a little about. I want to find a little about your market. What you mentioned that it's not as expensive as Silicon Valley, but it's still an expensive market.
Oh yeah.
What's the market like in Toronto?
So every area of the Greater Toronto area, not just the Toronto area itself, we're seeing a huge fluctuation in types of markets. So depending on where you are in Toronto, you could be seeing a balanced market, you could be seeing a seller's market. Okay. In the areas directly outside the city limits, a lot of the market's actually in a buyer's market right now, whereas this time of year last year, we were in a hyper seller's market.
So that's in the outskirts.
It's in just outside the city limits.
Okay. Now, how are the city limits?
Depending on where you are, you could be in a heavy heavy seller's market. Okay. It just depends on what kind of property you have.
So multiple offers, bidding wars.
Absolutely. No contingent offers. Okay. Absolutely.
We don't know anything about non-contingent offers in the Silicon Valley. Detect my sarcasm.
Nope. I actually sold a listing last week, and it was probably the most clean offer I've ever seen, and it was a condo. So they weren't even looking for any financials on the condo, no finance contingents, anything, and a 3-week close.
Wow.
And it was a bank owned, and bank owned sales in Toronto are very uncommon. So yeah, it's rare. We're getting that too.
Now I know it sounds like we were talking before the video as well, and I know you've done some larger sales too. Now tell me, so obviously the luxury market. You said you sold property over $10 million before.
Yes, I did.
So what's the ultra luxury market? Because obviously here in the Silicon Valley we have $30 million properties and $100 million properties. We generally consider luxury $5 million plus. Tell me a little about your luxury market.
Luxury market, it all depends where you are. A few years ago, luxury market was anything 1 to 1.5. But now 1 to 1.5 for a single family home is actually considered an entry level.
Sure, that's
depending
like it is
on where you are. Where now 2.5 to 3 is considered a luxury.
Okay.
luxury property. If it's a new build, yes, absolutely, it's a luxury.
Okay.
Depending on the location as well. Yeah, but I'd say about 2 to 2.5 is where you start to see the big difference between a
and
luxury and non-luxury.
how is the luxury market? Let me ask you this. So when I say how's the luxury market, who's buying luxury, and is there high demand for luxury?
So, right now, our luxury market has actually softened considerably. Luxury market has dropped in price probably about 20-25% in the last year. In the last year, we had some really big government interventions where I live, where I trade, where basically exactly this time of year last year, within a month, our prices just started to go down. And then later on in the year, the government introduced even more intervention with changes in mortgage qualification policies. And again, dropped even more. So on average, the luxury market has really been the one that's been hit the most. Now, who's buying them? Foreign buyers, but they were actually the first ones to be scared off when these government intervention policies came in. So they've kind of eased back a little bit, and they're the ones who are now, they're still investing in the more entry-level properties. Luxury market is people relocating for industry. We've got a really well-known hospital network in Toronto, some of the greatest research hospitals in Canada. Even in North America, some of them are there. We've got a really great cancer research hospital in the city. They're buying up pro athletes, who we discussed. Pro athletes, they like luxury properties. And anyone, executives, and people relocating from, maybe markets like San Jose or New York or other luxury markets, they're coming in and move up buyers.
So that makes sense, and I think one of it's interesting. So I'm familiar with government intervention and foreign buyers. I'm familiar with other countries. My family's from Belize. We've had issues with, or part of my family, and we've had issues with that in Belize as well, with the government changes and then the foreign. It scares off foreign investment, and people pull back. But it's interesting that you said that it doesn't affect that they're still investing in the lower properties, probably because the cost of failure is not as high.
Well, and it's taxation. The government intervention, they've addressed basically foreign buyers' taxes. And so these taxes right now are at 15% on the purchase price of a property. So 15% on a luxury is going to hit you hard.
It's a massive
Whereas
amount
if you buy a $500,000 condo, it's significantly lower. And then if you're holding it for investment reasons, it's easier to lease or rent out a condo than it is a luxury home.
All right, makes a lot of sense. Well, any thoughts or anything you want to kind of leave our Silicon Valley viewers with? Or I know we got into quite a few things about the market, but tell me, anything else? We know we're tech capitals.
Yes.
So
we're big tech players.
People going back and forth. But anything else you want to leave? And I don't see if anybody asked any questions.
So I can tell you, based on an investment perspective, Toronto is a really big investment hub. It's considered one of the safest cities in the world overall. Wow. It's considered one of the most livable cities in the world as well. It's, even though our prices have gone up and they've gone down a bit, compared to major places like Silicon Valley, and major players like New York City. If you're an investor client who wants to be a landlord or hire a property management firm to rent out your property, Toronto is still very strongly considered as a great place to invest, and our banking system is very, very secure. The 2008 crash, it was like a minor blip in our radar. The way that it impacted us was just chitter chatter. Nothing actually happened. We were just talking about, wow, look what happened in the U.S. But our average rents are quite high compared to the purchase price of properties. So it's a really great place to invest, and industry keeps on coming up and improving. So there's so many people that relocate to Toronto for work, and our vacancy rates are actually just below 1% for residential properties, and construction of new build high-rise condominiums is on the rise. So it's a great opportunity to be investing, especially in high-rise in the urban core, because that's where a lot of the jobs are, and that's where people want to live.
Perfect.
So,
well, there you have it. If you guys want your Toronto connection, give me a call. We'll get you guys investing, or if you want to relocate to Canada, we can help you with that too.
Toronto. What's great about it is it's not the stereotypical Canadian landscape that you see. We have 4 distinct seasons, and our summers are gorgeous, and we have beaches, and it's great. It's a lovely place. I'm born and raised, and I'm not planning to leave. So
awesome. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you joining us today, and I think this has been super informative. I've enjoyed this discussion.
Awesome, me too.
So let's. If any of you guys have any other questions or comments, comment below, and Melissa and I will chime in and answer your questions as well.
Absolutely, we'd love to
on the comment thread. So thank you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.